I want to thank our sponsors, Home of Medicine, National Patients' Rights Association, Marijuana Ranch, and Mr. Deeds Consulting.
These are some of the best activists that I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
These freedoms and rights that every one of us enjoy are brought to you by veterans. And I'm speaking as a veteran today.
Marijuana is not going to legalize itself. And we think we're about at the tipping point, and everybody's like, oh, we're almost at the tipping point, so we can just cruise at this point. No, we can't just cruise at this point. We need to push it over the tipping point so it doesn't come back.
I'm Maria Green, and freedom and liberty to me mean this right here.
If you were to allow yourself to go to jail for a couple of days, take a notepad with you and write down everything that you think about. The things you think about the most, that's what's important to you.
Getting with people that I might disagree on religious or political views, and stand with them and fight for a cause that we do agree on.
Some of the things that can be made with hemp. An estimated 25,000 to 50,000 products can be made with hemp.
For a while here in Michigan, medical marijuana patients couldn't drive with active THC in their system. And active THC can stay in the system anywhere from a few hours to days or weeks. I don't think we, as people, understand the science of how active THC is metabolized in the body. And so for a while that presented a problem for patients here in Michigan, because they weren't able to drive because they didn't know how long active THC would stay in their system. But the Supreme Court got that one right. And the Supreme Court held that you can drive with active THC in your system if you have a card, but as long as you're not under the influence of THC.
Yeah, I feel good about the direction that we're in. Maybe that's because I see how the minds are changing in Lansing. Maybe that's because I'm looking at the polling numbers moving so fast. And I think the reason why we're starting to feel the wind at our backs on these issues is because the public is really coming together. You've got people for both pragmatic reasons who realize that prohibition is a huge failure, that we spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on, ruining people's lives. There's just nothing productive coming out of it. From a pragmatic perspective, prohibition has just been a total failure and a costly one.
I think that's one thing that SSDP has been good at, is it's served as a sort of hub for students to learn from each other, from across the nation, to find out how to change campus policies, which very often can be reflected, or they can, kind of transmit to city-wide policies.
The response that we've gotten from the, I always say it wrong, is the committee that oversees the addition of
The new qualifying conditions
new
panel.
qualifying conditions panel. Actually, it was a tough hurdle for us, but we did actually bring some great testimony to Lansing, and we did actually convince them to vote favorably for addition of post-traumatic stress. And then in a rather amazing political moves, not only was the vote kind of nullified, but the entire panel was dissolved and reseated. And now, much to our surprise, the issue has kind of been picked up by this newly reseated panel. So maybe it won't be such a big fight.